Hello, hello. Hey everyone, and welcome to another live stream. We are on location, as you can see. We switched up the spot a little bit, but we are still outside, and we are still in Negril, and we are still overlooking the sea, and we are still overlooking Negril, but from a very different vantage point. Hello, everybody, and thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for hopping on. And we have a short agenda today. As you are aware, we switched up the time a little bit, and I will explain why that is in a few minutes. But as always, I appreciate everybody hopping on, especially you all early arrivers. I certainly appreciate that. I did put out an agenda on the community tab, which is fairly short, and as you know, I like to get into it pretty early. I am not too prepared in terms of having a slide up today, but today we are going to be going through Negril in the news, which actually this week don't have any Negril news, but we have some Jamaica news that I will be getting into. And also, I got actually caught COVID last week, so that is actually the reason why we are late today. I had to get tested this morning. I wanted to make sure that I was okay to come out into the public and of course do this. Otherwise I would have to be doing this live stream from my apartment, which I wouldn't have had a problem with. But again, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be infecting everybody. So welcome to the UK. Welcome wherever you are. Hi, Lindy. I see you. Hi, Wendy. Donna. Hi. Blind Guy, his wife and their life. Welcome again. Zoe Buckley, happy Sunday to you as well. And we are here live at Patsy's. And if you aren't aware, I did a podcast here last. I released it last. Was it last week or the week before? Everything's like kind of smushed together for me because of my recovery situation here. But it's good to be back here at Patsy's. And if you haven't seen that video, I definitely encourage you to check it out. Me and the owner, we went through a plethora of different things, talking about his business, talking about how he got the idea to start this coffee shop. And I believe it's the only standalone coffee shop in Negril. I stand to be corrected if I'm incorrect on that. And we, like I said, we had a great discussion about his business, but then we also talked a lot about Negril and a lot about where Negril has been, where it's come from, and then also Terry's insight. Terry, the co-owner of this establishment, Patsy's here, his insight on where he thinks Negril is going and where he's heading, and different things that he'd like to see, different things that I'd like to see, and some things we had a little bit of differing opinions on, but that's okay. I love having discussions of this nature, especially discussions about Negril and about Jamaica, and to kind of chop it up with a young person, a young entrepreneur. He's only 32 and he's been in this business 5 years, and he's been doing an excellent job so far. And this is really one of the stable places, small businesses in Negril. And it's just great that there is young talent here. And then also he's looking to expand and to grow his business going along. And of course, I was more than happy to have my platform and use my platform to learn a little bit about him and his business, but also in my small little way, also promote his business. And that's what brings us here today at Patsy's once again. I think this is a beautiful location. I'm going to switch back to the other camera, and as you can see, we are like pretty much the opposite side. I'm going to zoom in for everybody. So this is, that's the whole of Negril Beach. You got the mountains there in the back. Let's see if you could make some adjustments. Okay, not really adjusting, but yeah, it's a pretty special place, special location where this coffee shop is located. Hey, Monique. Hi, Julia, for Justice. Thank you. I'm feeling a whole lot better. King Spotlight. Yeah, I guess you did jinx me. It's all good, man. I'm back. I'm back. Afternoon, afternoon. Hi, Natalie. Leighton, hi. Rachel, happy Sunday to you. Giovanna, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you. So I just wanted to, I guess, quickly we'll just hop into my whole COVID situation real quick, especially since I got it down here in Jamaica. I didn't get it from anywhere else. And I'll talk about that for a little bit. And then, like I said, we'll hop right into the agenda. I'm not like, I'm recovered in the sense that like I am not testing positive. And so I had like not even a hint of it this morning when the doctors came by. And so that's kind of why we started off a little bit late, because I just wanted to make sure before I got out the house that I was actually negative. And so I pushed back the live stream a little bit. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I wanted to keep my word about having it here at Patsy's. So I'm recovered in that sense, but like I'm still like, if you've had COVID, like I caught it, I diagnosed with it, tested positive on Monday. So about 6 days ago. And um like you're not at least for me, I'm not like feeling like 100% myself. I'm probably not going to train this week. I'm going to actually talk to my coach and see what he thinks. I mean, if I do anything, it's going to be very, very just not intense at this point. And just I can definitely could tell my body's still recovering. Like technically like the doctor said I could have left the house yesterday, but I wanted to give my body a whole extra day just in case. And I slept like right through 10 hours, and that's it. Like you kind of just, at least for me, I was just like sleeping the whole time. So I tested positive on Monday, and I was there. And obviously, like as soon as I tested positive, I made sure that I went straight home, got food, and doctor explained to me, what to do and everything like that. Hydrate. I mean, huge shout out to my neighbors as well, my landlord slash neighbor. Like they took care of me so well. They were dropping soup off for me, food, Gatorade, medicine. Like they really, really took care of me, which was amazing. I can't thank them enough for doing that for me. That's Jill and Charlie. They really, really, really took care of me. So I'm so grateful to have them as neighbors, and also my landlord as well. I'm very, very lucky in that sense. And so just wanted to thank them for that. So basically I had 3 rough days. So Monday was definitely the worst day, like just being I had like loss of like not yeah, I guess I had like some balance issues, which that's what like kind of put it in my mind something was wrong, because I actually like woke up that morning. I was like, all right, I'm a little tired. And I was actually planning on going to the gym. And I was like, oh, let me just sleep in and I'll go to the gym in the evening. So I ended up getting up, going to work, going to a hotel. And, I was fine, like not showing any symptoms or anything like that for the most part, other than being a little bit tired, which I didn't think anything of. And then I went to and then like out in the afternoon and after I had lunch, I started to feel a few things, and still I told myself I'm still going to the gym. And then that evening, as I was getting ready to go to the gym, it's just kind of like just hit me. I was like, oh man, something's wrong here. And so decided out of precaution to go get tested. Got tested, obviously positive, didn't go to the gym. And kind of just been in bed for basically 3 days straight, and I was in quarantine for up until this morning pretty much. Thank you. Can I get a water as well? And so I just ordered some food, sorry. And yeah, it was like 3 rough days, and then after that I was okay, just super tired. Little bit of like out of breath. Like I live on the third floor, and usually like that's not a problem for me to walk up two flights of stairs, 3 flights of stairs. And so I was like a little out of breath like for a couple of days, and then after that, like still, like I said, not like 100% there. Thank you. Not Yeah, please. So not 100% there. Yeah, that would be good. Thank you. And like so even now, like I feel fine. Like I'm definitely not like 100%. Like I don't have like my full energy, but I'm out and about. I have good energy, a lot better energy than I had before. And like with the breathing, That's, I mean, that's okay. It's just not what I'm used to. I'd say that's probably going to take a little bit. The doctor told me that just to keep in touch with him, just to see if I have any long, like, that long COVID that a lot of people are suffering from. Hopefully, that's I don't have that, but we'll see. I didn't lose my taste. I didn't lose smell or anything like that. The worst part about it was the low energy, and then like the first 2 days I was super achy, and then the worst part was definitely the headache. Like I had a headache, basically for 3 days straight, and that was pretty annoying. And other than that, first day I didn't have an appetite at all, and the second day I got my appetite back, and just been recovering, sleeping, hydrating, drinking Gatorade like crazy the entire time. Didn't leave the house. Only time I left the house was like when people dropped food off for me, and I just usually go get it and then come back. And so I just stayed in again. Just didn't really want to risk infecting anybody at all. And that was pretty much the situation. And today, like I said, I woke up feeling good. Appetite is great. Energy is okay. Not like my usual normal 100% energy. So it's probably going to be a few days. But I feel like working out and getting back into training, that actually probably is going to help me. At least that's what I think in my mind. But like I said, I'm going to probably review that with my coach. But my coach, he's the one. So he caught it recently as well. And he was just telling me about like the experience that he and his other athletes have had. And he basically told me, he's like, you're probably going to have 3 rough days and then 3 okay days, and you'll be fine after that. And that's probably exactly like spot on, exactly what happened. There was twice where like I had progressed, and then the next day I regressed or felt like worse than the previous day, sort of thing. And so that was also a little bit of annoyance. But I understand that happens to a lot of people. Like you think you're okay and you're going to be fine, but then you kind of take a few steps backwards. And so that was kind of good to hear that was normal, and that was just kind of the process or progress of the disease, kind of just working through the body and everything like that. But yeah, as far as I see somebody asking me about, did I do like any sort of tracing or anything like that? No, I mean, I tried to figure it out. I had some friends who came in from New York, and I thought I had gotten it like that because like that was the only like outside factors, and people like new people that I was hanging out with, but they obviously tested negative to get here. They tested negative to go back to New York. And I told them to get tested because like the morning they left is that evening is when I tested positive. So I just told them to get tested out of precaution. So I assume they did. And as far as I know, they are negative. So I'm not sure where or who I could have got it from. Asking everybody around me. We had a couple team members at Travelers. They had it as well. So that could be it. I mean, I'm pretty safe always wearing my mask, but you never know with these things. One slip up, one, wrong interaction that you have with somebody, then that could be the case right there. So I'm unsure as far as who I might have received it from. So just I don't know, just kind of be careful out there, as we all tell each other to be safe and just kind of be vigilant. And this is kind of, I guess, a reminder for anybody if you have or have not gotten it, just continue to be vigilant. We're not out of this thing. And obviously this is the first time I caught it, and this variant is a very, very transmissible. So it's real. I was trying to go through this whole pandemic without catching it, but I got it hopefully at the very end here. So that's just a quick recap of my COVID experience. But happy to be outside, happy to be back doing this. I didn't want to miss this Sunday, excuse me, because I wanted to definitely do this live stream, and obviously I wasn't too active at all this week on YouTube, and I planned on getting that the video out on the personal finance investor that I interviewed, and I was able to edit it while I was sick. So definitely it will be being released this week, and I'm super excited for it. She just gives so much amazing information about investing in Jamaica in so many different ways, not just from the real estate perspective, which I know a lot of people are interested in, but also in the Jamaican stock market as well. So that is definitely going to be released at some point this week. I'm aiming for tomorrow, but I don't want to make any promises, but definitely sometime this week. I just want to take the opportunity to welcome everybody. We are at Patsy's Coffee Shop, shooting and looking across the Negril beach. Let's bring it in a little wider. And so that's the whole of Negril Beach. That's the entire strip right there that we're looking at. New beginnings, welcome. Thank you for joining. Shayna, thank you for coming on. Happy you caught the live as well. Lindy, you're right. Sleeping is healing. That is like the key to this whole thing. Like, I slept so much, it was crazy. And I will continue to do so. Thank you, Rachel, for the well wishes. Happy Sunday, Joy. Miss Nisa. Yes. Thank you. You're the one who made me get tested right away. Thank you. I wouldn't have done it unless you told me to. I would have done it eventually, but not as fast. Thank you for that, Nisa. Answer your question. No, did not do any sort of contact tracing. But yeah, that was the only process the tracing that I did was just kind of talking to people I had been in touch with and trying to see and pinpoint where I could have gotten it from. Thank you again for the well wishes. Yep, I will definitely be taking it easy. New beginnings. Thank you, Sade. I will definitely continue to be safe. Yes, Miss B. I think, Mrs. B. I think being a runner did help me. I hope it did. I'm also vaccinated as well. You know, I hope that I'm sure that helped me to come back as well. Which I'm glad I was able to do that. Come back and get the come back, and like I said, I'm sure the vaccine helped as well. Thank you, Dr. Marion. Appreciate the well wishes. Yeah, I need to get. That's one thing I didn't do. I didn't get out in the sun, as blind guy saying here. So I am doing that now, making up for it. But I just didn't. Like I said, I didn't want to go out and infect anybody, and like I just didn't, especially at the time, didn't have the energy to do that. Yeah, I see Sade's sun is the best source of vitamin D3. Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I kind of did that. Maybe I would have healed a little bit faster. But I'm happy to be back. Oh, you asked. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your question, blind guy. I'm having a chicken wrap, but I'm not going to eat in front of you guys. But it's there waiting for me whenever. We'll get to it. CC, glad you're liking the view. Beginnings, loving the view. You got it. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Enough on COVID and my situation. Happy to be back. Happy to be doing this. So glad I made the live stream. All right. So let's hop over to the agenda. All right. So Negril in the news. Like I said, I didn't have any Negril news, but I have some Jamaica news. So let's see if we could go ahead and throw that up. All right, let me just take down that comment. So in the Jamaica news, this was in the Observer, I believe. And let me just see if I could bring it up. So I'll just it's a short article. It's like one paragraph. I'll just quickly read it. Tourism boost. Jamaica is expected to start receiving 3 flights per week from the European countries of Belgium and the Netherlands. Flights are scheduled to land in Montego Bay, St. James by TUI Belgium and TUI Netherlands by April this year. The development comes as Minister Edmund Bartlett and a small team of participants participants in FITUR, currently the world's largest annual international travel and tourism trade show in Madrid, Spain. These highlights bring back the Belgium and Netherlands tourism markets to where we were prior to the pandemic, which is really good news, said Bartlett. We are truly appreciative of the work our team and members of in Jamaica keep in keeping Jamaica front and center in the challenging times. Whilst we are on a roller coaster for the past 2 years, we have sought to ensure that the work to keep Jamaica firmly in the minds of our critical international partners is constantly reinforced, Bartlett said. TUI Belgium will operate 2 direct flights each week starting in April between Brussels International Airport and Montego Bay, whilst TUI Netherlands will operate 1 direct flight per week between Amsterdam International Airport and Montego Bay. Boeing 787 Dreamliners with roughly 300 seats each are the planes being used for the flight. So that's fantastic news. Anytime we get new flight patterns, that really obviously gives us more opportunity to get heads to beds, as they say. And so that's kind of a real positive. And the minister is always working super hard. That's one thing I'll say that I do like about him. He, especially when I was involved, I can speak personally from when I was involved with the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association. This guy doesn't stop. And I've seen him in action. He's a very data-driven, analytical person as well, which I certainly appreciate. So that's kind of cool to see that we are getting those flight patterns back and those markets back to Jamaica in April, which is our slow season here. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. So basically the middle of April 15th officially, that is when that pretty much ends our official winter high season. And so that's when the real challenge comes into play, as just being in the tourism sector. So we just kind of gotta keep that in mind. So this is like super positive news and very welcome news, and really helps the off season. Excuse me. I don't know if we travelers will be getting any of those. My brother is probably the better person to answer that question, but I will find out if we are getting any folks coming from that region. I'm sure we are, but always good to double check. Let's hop in the comments. New beginnings. Yes, Ali is with me. He's actually eating lunch while I'm on here. Let me scroll up a little bit. I'll also switch back so you guys just don't look at me, look at my computer. Much better, right? Happy Sunday, Sophia. Francesca, thank you for the well wishes. Oh, wow. Natalie says her mom had 2 breakthrough cases. Glad to hear she's doing well. Moonlight Queen, hi there. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. Hey, Shika and Omar, thanks for joining. Afternoon, Lisa. Thank you for the well wishes, Sophia. Harren from New York, blessings, welcome. Thank you so much. Wendy asked when the off season is. Yes, that's April 15th. So basically April 15th to December 15th is the entire off season. And now up until, I would even say, early April, it actually starts to slow down, at least for us travelers. And I think most people kind of have that same experience. But again, the new flight patterns really help balance out the off season and help kind of boost those numbers up. Hopefully, I'm sure it will. All right, Damien has a question. He's thinking about flying home. Did the government remove any travel restrictions? No, I mean, everything is pretty much the same in respect to the requirements of filling out the travel authorization form on the Jamaica destination website, and also the having a negative test before you arrive within, I believe it's within 3 days now. Yes, it's within 3 days. At least that's what it is from the United States. But if it's from the United States, I presume that's from everywhere. So within 3 days, and that is the only travel restrictions. And then once you hear, I should say, excuse me, you're also required to stay within the resilient corridor. So essentially, all the tourist areas or tourist zones, like that's where you're supposed to be staying if you're a visitor coming to visit, which essentially stretches from Negril, North Coast Negril, all the way to Port Antonio, and including also Treasure Beach as well. So on the like staying on the mostly along that North Coast line, and also Treasure Beach in the south coast and St. Elizabeth. Those are essentially the restrictions that are in place. Okay, so just keep the questions coming. I only have one more article, and I'm actually thinking about. I've only read this like yesterday. I actually read it a couple times. So this guy Noah Smith, he's actually an economist, and he has his own little, I guess, blog page that he blogs about. And if you're interested, I guess I'll send this out and maybe I'll put it on the community page if people are interested in this. But he basically does a really good job on breaking down. So he does this. So what he does is he breaks down the economics, mostly the a lot of macroeconomic indicators of different countries around the world, and they're usually uh, like up and coming countries, like non-first world countries. And he like hops into like a lot of great information on Jamaica, and talks about essentially from a long-term big picture perspective why we aren't a rich country but we should be. And it's, according to him, we are in a sense on a path to doing so. That, that's my own inference that I take away from it, and that we are moving in the right direction. He also does some comparisons, mainly from a statistical standpoint of us, Jamaica, to other Caribbean countries. I'm just kind of scrolling through the article, and then he does comparisons as well with other similar countries globally that have moved from where we were to, I would say, like two first world countries. And so there's he does like a really, really awesome job about doing that. And in my opinion, he's pretty objective in his analysis of Jamaica. He talks about also the extremely high cost. Basically, we have I'm sure many people in the audience are aware that we have extremely high electricity costs, amongst the highest in the world. And he explains why that is. And he goes into it. So let me start reading it, and I'll also look out for questions. So this is the GDP per capita. So let me not put that up yet. Let me start reading it, and then as I read it, if you have questions, please let me know, and I'll try and pop back and just kind of look at the comments. So here we go. I'm writing a series of economic development posts, each one highlighting a specific country or pair of countries. Previous installments included Bangladesh, Pakistan, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic versus Haiti. Today, by popular request, and he puts up a poll that he had on Twitter, I'm going to be talking about Jamaica. Jamaica is classified as a middle-income country by the World Bank. In terms of GDP per capita, it's about $10,000, putting it somewhere in the same neighborhood as Vietnam, Tunisia, or Jordan. That's rich enough for Jamaicans not to starve and for most to have generally decent living situations, but not enough to eliminate extreme poverty or create the kind of broad middle class we'd recognize as such in a developed country. So we'll talk a bit about what, if anything, Jamaica could do to improve its situation. But first, I think the real story here comes from looking at Jamaica's performance over time. Here's Jamaica's income level compared to a couple nearby Caribbean countries, only going up to 2019 to take advantage of the negative effect of COVID. So I'll throw that chart up. This is the one he's referencing. and I can read it, the article, and you guys can take a look at the chart as I read through. Jamaica's growth has been pretty close to zero since 1990, an era when lots of developing countries hit high growth rates. In this, it's similar to Barbados and Haiti, although Jamaica's income level is about halfway between those other two countries. Of the four, only DR has shown the rapid upward trajectory of successful industrialization. It's an interesting question of why Jamaica and Barbados, which had similar income levels until the late 1960s, ended up diverging so much. Economists Peter Blair Henry and Conrad Miller have a paper that tries to explain this. The divergence, they argue, was not due to any deep difference in institutions. Both countries essentially used the same British derived governance model and property rights regimes, but to different macroeconomic policy choices. Henry and Miller claimed that Jamaica's socialist policies in the early 1970s, nationalization of industry, import barriers, subsidies for basic goods, high deficits, and so on, did long-term damage, while Barbados' relatively neoliberal policies avoided hurting its economy much during those troubled years. This, if true, would be a pretty direct rebuke to the ideas of people like Hajun Chang, who argue the nationalization, import barriers, and tolerance of rapid inflation are a more effective growth strategy than traditional neoliberal orthodoxy of privatization, free trade, sound money, and balanced budgets. And interestingly, Jamaica's more leftist turn in the 1970s didn't result in enduringly lower inequality than Barbados. The two countries' Gini coefficients are almost equal to both in the mid 40s. So that's one story. But I think the more important question here is to be why Jamaica hasn't seen a takeoff in growth the way the Dominican Republic has. Remember, a growth takeoff rather than simply stagnation at higher level is the ultimate goal of development state policies like those recommended by Hajun Chang. There are a number of theories as to what causes a country to go from agriculture, mining, tourism, and other relatively simple activities to more complex activities like manufacturing and high value services. It might be that each country just has to wait its turn in line, waiting for the so called flying geese of global capital to decide that this is the next place to produce shoes and clothes and toys. Under this theory, countries can at best hope to cut in line by having slightly better education and infrastructure than the next country over. In fact, this is the implication of economic geography theory, one of my favorite economic theories. But if we assume there is, let me pause. I'm just going to check to see if there's any comments on anything I said so far before I continue. Yeah, if you guys have any comments as I'm going, or if I'm boring you by reading this, also let me know. But I found this super interesting, and I feel like that you all might find this interesting as well. So if like I said, if you are finding this boring or if you want me to move on, I can do this. But I think there's a lot of valuable information here, and I will also be sharing the article as well if everyone is interested. So I will keep reading for now unless you all say otherwise. And there's obviously a lot of information that I already just talked about or read about that we can have a discussion on. But unless otherwise, I will continue reading. But if we assume there is something countries can do to jumpstart industrialization, then the best candidate for what they can do is the development state. My favorite formalization of this is in the book How Asia Works, which, though it doesn't get everything quite right, is the simplest and most reasonable guide to the basic idea. The author, Joe Studwell, distills the experience of successful East Asian industrializers into three basic steps: land reform to employ the rural population and raise farm output while freeing up landlords to start manufacturing companies. Two, export discipline, meaning country promotes exports to manufacturing industries as a tool to absorb foreign technologies, learn how to climb the value chain and generate foreign exchange. Three, financial repression, meaning that the finance sector is forced to fund manufacturing and exports rather than putting all its money into stuff like real estate or Bitcoin or whatever. On land reform, Jamaica fails badly. Concentrated land ownership and widespread tenant farming is a big reason for its continued high inequality. The Jamaican left keeps proposing land reform, and it keeps not getting it done. This is probably depriving Jamaican manufacturing of talent. A number of countries' richest and most well-educated people are engaged in relatively unproductive landlording instead of starting the next Hyundai or Samsung. That would be cool if we did that here in Jamaica. My little anecdote. Anyway, how about export discipline? Here, Jamaica faces a more formidable enemy than political gridlock. Its own abundance of natural resources. Jamaica has huge reserve of bauxite, which is used to make aluminum. This accounts for an enormous percentage of exports. And he actually has a chart of our exports here. I'm going to try and get that up so you can look at it while I... Okay, I will continue. People are saying to continue, so I will continue. So I'm just getting this export chart up so we can take a look at it. One moment. There we go. So that's what Jamaica exports and the breakdown of it. I will continue reading. This poses a couple of challenges to industrialization. First, exporting aluminum-related materials makes Jamaica's currency more expensive, since it means other countries have to buy a lot of Jamaican dollars in order to buy minerals. That makes Jamaican exports less competitive. This is known as Dutch disease. Henry and Miller discuss how Dutch disease hurt Jamaica agriculture in the 70s, causing high unemployment even as exports surged. The second problem posed by resource abundance is high wages. Yes, we can all think high wages are good, but if you're trying to get in a cutthroat game of global manufacturing exports, you need to start at the bottom. While with simple low-value activities like making clothes and toys and light electronics assembly. This is how Bangladesh and Vietnam, and indeed the Dominican Republic, kicked off their own exponential growth. But with a per capita GDP of around $10,000 in 1990, Jamaica was much richer than Vietnam or Bangladesh or the DR. In fact, it's still richer than the first two. And he has a chart there, so I'm going to throw that chart up as well. Because it had so much bauxite and possibly so much tourism, Jamaican wages were necessarily uncompetitive when they needed to be competitive. In fact, Jamaica did make a big push for export-oriented industrialization, starting with exactly the kinds of labor-intensive light manufacturing industries that have worked well for the successful industrializers. Established in the 1970s and 1980s, the Jamaican Free Zone were similar to China's special economic zones. They provided tax exemptions for businesses, facilitated foreign investment, and favored export-oriented industries like textiles. But the free zones never took off. Even with the tax breaks, Jamaican manufacturing was just never competitive. In an economy that's used to middle-income living standards, low wages, and brutal conditions necessary to be competitive in a labor-intensive manufacturing just didn't provide people with what they considered to be decent work. According to the theories of folks like Chang and Studwell, that short-circuited Jamaica's industrialization. Whereas Bangladesh and Vietnamese workers would endure harsh conditions for a while, but eventually get better lives as companies learned how to do more complex manufacturing. Jamaica's high starting wages short-circuited that process. If industrialization is a process of learning to walk before you learn to run, then according to this theory, Jamaica was born with a fancy aluminum wheelchair. And in fact, this might be the brutal, unfortunate truth of the developing countries. That those that are endowed with plentiful natural resources might simply be destined to start out ahead, but eventually fall behind. But to conclude that would be very overly pessimistic. The fact is, we don't really know how economic development happens, and to put too much faith in the Chang-Studwell theory will be unwise. After all, the Dominican Republic is pulling off a successful manufacturing-based industrialization, and yet its top export is still gold. So having resource endowments doesn't ensure stagnation. Jamaica still has a chance. Also, With the rise of highly complex service industry, there's always the chance that Jamaica may, in some sense, be able to leapfrog to higher value activities. Jamaica is trying to do this with the Jamaica Logistics Hub, which envisions the island becoming a way station for trade throughout the Caribbean and Latin America. This can be a good strategy for a small country, is has worked well for countries like Dubai and Singapore, each of which is actually more populous than Jamaica. Becoming a logistics hub will involve a lot of new infrastructure. In fact, China is helping Jamaica build out facilities. Ports, roads, and various processing facilities are all being built. According to some resources, the country is now investing about a quarter of its GDP, almost as good as Vietnam, up from about a fifth of GDP 5 years ago. That's a good sign. And the JLH initiative will also involve the creation of new special economic zones, which will include their own factories, many of which are focused on doing processing for imports and exports, a low value activity that might be able to function as a spark of new manufacturing based industrialization. Let's hope it happens. Growth hasn't picked up yet, but it's still very early days, and COVID is a big confounding factor. But the global supply chain crunch shows just how crucial logistics will be in the upcoming economic age. And there's one big reason to be optimistic about Jamaica: the enduring strength of its institutions. In an age of advancing autocracy, Jamaica remains resolutely democratic, scoring higher than the US on some international measures. It's an island of political stability in the region. This is all the more impressive when you consider that Jamaica is still primarily a natural resource exporter. Many resource exports suffer not just Dutch disease and uncompetitive wages, but also political dysfunction. Elites attempt to monopolize the flow of resource rents, and the struggle for power makes it difficult, very difficult, for a country to provide quality infrastructure, education, property rights, and so on. This is known as the resource curse. Somehow Jamaica has avoided this curse. It may not be a rich country. It may still be highly unequal, and it may make the occasional macroeconomic policy mistake, but it has avoided becoming a kleptocratic basket case like many resource exporters. And that makes Jamaica a well-managed country. So we have hope that this good management will prevail in the end. Jamaica is doing okay, but it deserves to be a rich country. It has to keep experimenting until it finds a model that will get it there. And that is the end of the article. Any questions? Let's see. We got a few comments here. Oh, got a bunch of comments. Okay, cool. Seems like people enjoy that. All right, let's go through some of them. All right, Julius says, "Save the cockpit country." I can't agree with that more. I think we should definitely preserve that. Julie says, "I heard 60% of J war is sourced in cockpit country." I am not sure. I know our water here is in Negril, that is from logwood, and they were working on a system. I would assume they still are working on it, basically to interconnect the entire island's water system, because we are, like as the article says, we are so rich in natural resources. We have many, many rivers, and we are the prime location that cruise ships come to, actually, and the cruise ships that come to the Caribbean to come and fill up their cruise ships with fresh water from our rivers and from our natural resources. Blind Guy, His Wife, and Their Life says, "Economic geography theory doesn't consider the inherent value of a place. It's the westernized high value of dollars and goods, where there's a low value placed on sun, time, freedom, poison-free food." Well said. Let's see. Jeff Hallman says, "Allow U.S. and Canadian persons to stay and invest in Jamaica, the Jamaican country. Create special category for foreign retirees. Negotiate health care coverage with U.S. health insurance, Canadian health care." So I will say Jamaica is an extremely easy place for foreigners to come and invest. I mean, there's almost nothing stopping you. There's almost nothing stopping you. There's also an incredible amount of financial and tax incentives for foreign investors to come into Jamaica. I don't know what you have to do specifically to qualify for those incentives. I'm sure there's some sort of minimum investment, but I'm sure even outside of that, there are other incentives that can be taken advantage of as a foreign investor. So there is a lot set up in that sense for the for foreign investors, U.S., Canadian, wherever you're from, Europe, UK. So that is, I would say Jamaica is very business friendly. I have to say, I can't believe how easy it is for a lot of foreigners to come in and set up shop, or even if you're not a foreigner, or even if you're a local and setting up a business here. It's one of the easiest places to do, has a high rate of ease. They're highly ranked in ease of doing business. I know that. I don't know where we are, but I can speak from personal experience. It's easy to set up business here. As far as the idea of healthcare coverage in the US and Canada, in terms of being able to use it down here, I mean, I think that would be amazing. I think that would be amazing if there was some sort of reciprocal relationship where even Jamaicans who have healthcare coverage here in Jamaica can use it in the US. I think there is some sort of relationship, because I know we just signed some new insurance along those lines. But I think to have that happen for other people to use it down here, their home insurance, that would be great. King Spotlight. Jamaica economic collapse in the 1990 due to the expense of bulk fuel to conduct mining, and the recycling market are the problem as far as mining is concerned. So there was another. I'm sorry, I don't have that ready, but there is another. I don't know if he's an economist, but on the same website, somebody had written sort of a response article to this, and he dove a little bit deeper into, and I think I was getting it confused actually when I was talking about the electricity rates, but he dove a little deeper into the bauxite. And so essentially, we don't make the final product, right? So we basically need to start refine, like he was arguing that we need to refine the bauxite here and also produce the actual final product, the aluminum. But in order to do that, it takes, he has the numbers, but an incredible amount of electricity. And so in order to do that, it's just too expensive, because Jamaican electricity is just too high, and it's relying on petroleum. And he gets into, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of Petrojam, the organization. So basically they're in charge of the gas that comes into the island, and there was a huge case that's, I believe, actually still going on with Petrojam and corruption and all that sort of thing. So that's, he's in that article, which I will also share on the community page. He spoke a lot about that as well and got into that as well. Ingrid, please don't travel to DR. They are killing and beating Haitians in that country. No black people should be traveling to DR. Oh, that's not good. Mrs. B, in other words, you have to produce and export goods. Jamaican had manufacturing in the 70s, 80s, but the unions were an issue and the labor force did not want to work. Goodyear, one of the companies, closed. Oh man, I didn't even know that. First I'm hearing. Jeff says Jamaica has hydro capacity, not big dams, but many small regional dams. This would reduce transmission. I actually knew somebody who was, I don't know what happened with it, but they were working on a project with hydroelectricity, I think to the exact point that you're making right here. Blind guy, his wife, and their life. Countries like Jamaica were populated and thriving before highly complex services and industries. Poor is an external view. Chinese infrastructure is poor, buildings / bridges collapsing. King Spotlight, the logistic hub and exploration are set to take Jamaica to the next level of economic growth. United Oil have found an estimated 3 billion barrels of oil off the south coast of the Walton Basin. Yeah, I heard about that. But I don't know what they're doing with that. Like in terms of like I haven't heard of like it seems like the combination of the two, as you rightfully said, King Spotlight has the potential to completely change Jamaica as a country. And I don't know if and it just made me think, thinking back to the conversation that I had with German, the personal finance investor, and it's just fresh in my mind because I'm just editing it. And one of the questions I asked her is like, what do you think that's driving this very high demand that we were talking about of interest in Jamaica, particularly Jamaican real estate? And this makes, in your comment, King Spotlight, makes me think that between the newly found oil and also this logistic hub, it just seems like like the article is saying, like you're saying, Jamaica is poised to take off and really change the lives of an entire country. Am I relying on that? Not really. Obviously me at my business and everything that we're doing, and like obviously keep moving forward, keep pushing. But it's just great news to hear that we do have some sort of potential. And in the discussion with German, we also talk about the infrastructure. I believe it was also mentioned the ARCA as well. The infrastructure investments that are being done in Jamaica, it's tremendous. They're like literally they're trying to connect the entire island with highways. And I mean, connectivity of any people of any nation, it's just can help boom the economy, because you need that. And same thing, and she talked about Kingston as well. They've been done a lot of investment in Kingston in terms of freeing up traffic. It's still very, very bad, but they're trying, and they are making these very long-term investments, and there seems to be a long-term view and long-term investments, which gives me a lot of confidence about where we're heading. That says also Jamaica has huge agricultural potential, but needs investment in transportation, roads, yep, and food processing. Agreed. Bonjour. Let's see. Jamaica, he's a blind guy, says Jamaica is currently a rich country. This is the reason the article mentions exporting the rich natural resources. Well said again. Yeah, I hope Jamaica gets that transportation hub as well. It seems like they're pushing for it, and we're perfectly poised for it. Perfectly poised in many, many regards. All right, King Spotlight. First off, the Barbados economy is not doing well. Their debt to GDP ratio is 132%. So for every dollar they make, $1.32 goes to its debt, compared to Jamaica, 96% GDP. Yeah, 96% of its GDP. That's very true. We're actually, I think 5 years ago, we were at 150% debt to GDP ratio. So it's like slowly coming down, as a matter of fact, and that's like another really, really great sign. And yeah, Barbados is in constant, like I know they're in discussion with the IMF and that sort of thing. So yeah, very good point there, King Spotlight. Let's see. Shanna says, can you share the article in the community tab? Also, this makes your channel unique, cool vibes, intellectual, spontaneous guests, and planned and fun all in one. Thank you. Yes, I will absolutely post this article. I thought this was very cool. And I'll post the other one that I was referring to as well. You have COVID. Sorry, bro. Oh, no, I'm good. I'm back. Thank you, Ocean Gray. Karen says, I disagree. Jamaica economic growth over the past 30 to 40 years has been limited to the 10% of economic players. Do an audit and there will be evidence of this. Most of these companies are new. I think that's what you're saying. I'm not sure if I have that right. Yeah, I think the economic growth has been concentrated, and the article does say that the GDP per capita has remained at $10,000 since 1990, and so I think he did say that in that sense in the article, and I believe that's what you're referring to, Harren. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sade says everyone can make a lot of money farming goats in Jamaica because there's a shortage of goat meat goat meat in Jamaica. I didn't know that. May says, click the like button. Yes, hit that like button. All right, what else we got here? Farming strawberries and grapes plus freezing fruits like mangoes and selling them year round is also a great business. Yeah, I know. I only know of one. I could be wrong, but I only know of one Jamaican strawberry farmer. But I know our climate isn't the most ideal to farm strawberries. I don't know a lot about farming, but I've been told this is kind of too hot. Miss B says Jamaica does not have the refinery. We had to ship to South America to process it, and it was very expensive. We need our own refineries. Yes, Miss B, that's correct. But the only thing, as I mentioned before, and this is not my language. This is from another economic article that was written that I will also post on the community page. The reason why we don't have the refineries, according to this other guy, is because of the high electricity costs it would for us to do so. If there is a way, I mean, if we can get our electricity costs down and also our tariffs, I know I spoke about this before. I mean, we would be a new country overnight alone, without the logistics hub and without the oil, which I welcome both. But those things, in my opinion, hold back the country so much. And the electricity cost is just really, really killing business, and it's stifling economic growth at this point. And also, to your point about the refinery, it's not economically feasible for us to do that in house or in country. Shana says that would be a great topic idea to further discuss the health insurance in Jamaica and U.S. have reciprocation. I would love to hear an expert or well versed to be on the show. Yeah, I would love to hear that as well. I'll make note of that. Blind Guy says, when we compare the abundance of valuable natural renewable resources in Jamaica to the limited resources in Eurasia, there's a wealth gap. Jamaica is quite wealthy. I agree. Aaron says, Jamaica economic stagnation has been based on bad microeconomic policies. Many companies have export their profits. These same companies benefit from 30 years of tax break, lack of proper policies. Yeah. I mean, with that, yeah, there's, there are companies that do have, and then as I said before, when I was mentioning about the incentives for foreign national, foreign direct investment, and a lot of that has to do with these tax breaks. I don't know how long they are. I know for the hotel industry, they used to be 10 years, but we actually changed over to the Omnibus Incentive Act, so which opens this tax break is open to all hotel years. So basically, if you the way it used to be is that if you were a new hotel and coming into Jamaica and you were looking to invest here, you had the big incentives that you had was you could come in and you had 10 years tax free. You could bring in whatever you want tax free, and it was huge. You had this huge competitive advantage, especially for us as hoteliers, hotels that have been here for longer than that. We no longer had that, and so we made a very good argument, I guess, because we got the incentives changed, that this is no longer fair, and especially small hotels, local hotels, we no longer had this. We're able to compete on these levels, and so they came up with this new law, new incentive was called the Omnibus Act, and it essentially allows hotels to import tax-free items that we need for our hotels that we don't necessarily get here in Jamaica. So for example, we obviously don't get we don't have I think sheets or something like that, but we can obviously get our beds made here. So importing beds is not on the omnibus list. That's an example. So you can go to a Jamaican carpenter and incentivize you to go to Jamaican carpenters and carpentry companies to have your beds made or any woodwork that you need done at your property or at your hotel, as opposed to you importing that. But if you need, obviously, a TV, I don't know if the TV's on that list, but obviously Jamaica doesn't make TVs, but we need TVs for our hotel rooms, then that's also on the list. Again, I'm not sure if TVs are on that list, but that's just an example. All right, let's move on to the next comment. Do you know how much? Lloyd asked, "Do you know how much Jamaica's external debt is?" No, I do not. Do not. King Spotlight, do you know the answer to that? What our exact debt is? I know we're. You mentioned we're at 96% GDP. That's a GDP ratio. All right, let's see. Jamaica can be the next Singapore of the Caribbean. Yep, I agree. I agree. I think we are moving in that direction. I hope we get there. Lloyd says Jamaica pays a lot of its GDP to service its external debt. Yep, you're right about that. Blind guy says theory is perspective and can be limited or slanted from one side. Anyone can check China's poor quality reputation for building or even baby formula for their own babies. Money is a priority. All right, Ali's getting us set up looking at that nice boat there. Nice catamaran. So what I say is the Blue Mountains is a great for growing strawberries. I know one strawberry farmer up there and one in Manchester. Yes, those are much cooler climates, so that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Good point. Grizzy says, I wish there was some type of competition of electricity company. We need to do something about this as a nation. Man, I can't agree with you more. Competition, we definitely need some competition. The other article had mentioned looking at Jamaica, having Jamaicans consider looking into nuclear power. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how people feel about that, but that's one route. There we go. The blind guy says the sun is an energy source and a solution that is connected to the Lumi currency being used in Jamaica and East African countries. Electricity through solar is a solution. I agree. I think we should invest more in solar for sure. Shade says, what do you think about Jamaican Caribbean connecting with African countries to do more trade? There are over 1 billion people there and they love Jamaica. Yeah, I think that this should be explored. I also think with that, obviously, I guess the greatest thing would be the distance. But yeah, I agree. I think we can do more with that connection. And then also even within the Caribbean itself, I think we can do a lot more. I know we have CARICOM. I don't know too much about it. I don't know in terms of like the volume of business that we're doing within other nations. But I mean, I think that in itself, I think we need to even inter-Caribbean travel, I think is a very untapped. I think we're a little out of focus. There we go. I think that's also very untapped. Would travel within the Caribbean, because if you could travel better within the Caribbean, there's more likelihood of doing business inter-Caribbean and then also tourism within the Caribbean. And so I think that's also something that is like super, super untapped and something that should be looked into. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it just seems like we're so close. There are, seems like there are so many advantages to working with other Caribbean nations. And I feel like we could help each other out. Next question. Someone who has fashion and houseware buying skills could help improve the economy of JA, because more Jamaicans would buy them in Jamaica if they had better choices in stores. I agree. I think we should be. I would love to get to a point where we are manufacturing more goods. Not only just in fashion, but just in general. I would love to see us producing more and exporting more. To me, that's the way. King Spotlight answering some questions. BJM, let's see. I am enjoying this topic. Jamaica has so much more to offer besides the sun, sand, and beaches. I feel like we are getting to know more about Jamaica on a deeper level. This is great info. Awesome. Glad you're liking it, BJM. I agree. Somebody had made this comment before about turning Negril into a tech hub. I definitely I think Jamaica could be a tech hub. I think Negril can definitely be a tech hub because it is so untapped here, and it just takes a small group of people. to just really kind of see the vision and see the potential in this. And, you know, maybe I need to visit other tech hubs. Obviously, I'm from New York and spend a lot of time there, but I'm not really in the tech industry there. But it just makes me think maybe I shouldn't need to get out to Silicon Valley or out to Israel, or even spend some time in Berlin. You know, these are global tech hubs that were never tech hubs before. I mean, Silicon Valley is the original one, right? But just to see what it actually takes. But I think just from my perspective and experience, it seems like Negril specifically has the infrastructure to be a hub of this nature. We can dream, right? Because he said, is there any type of business you would advise anyone to go into in Jamaica if they are coming to live? Technology. There you go. Yeah, so there are I mean, Jamaica as a whole, like I feel like there's talent here that is untapped and just needs a little bit of guidance and a little bit of leadership. And I'm speaking particularly in the creative industry and also in the technology area. And so if you do have a company or experience in running a business of that nature, I think you could do extremely well here. And we have a willing and hardworking workforce as well. And I think that's a huge advantage. Obviously, we're an English speaking nation as well. So you don't have to have that sort of language barrier if you're coming from the United States or Canada. The proximity to there is very close. You know, we're 3.5, 4 hours from Toronto. We're an hour and a half, I think, from Miami. Maybe an hour. I could be wrong, but we're right there. We're very, very close. And so we're moving into a very digital world as well. And I believe the leadership of Jamaica is seeing that, and they're making investments to prepare Jamaica for that future, inevitable future. And I think people in the private sector who are looking for an opportunity and maybe looking for a different location, or maybe they're looking for diversification or globalization in opportunities. And I think Jamaica is poised for that. I especially think Negril is poised for that. And if you're like, and I can speak specifically to Negril, I was actually talking to my aunt about this yesterday, I think. And you know, you could come here, like, there's because there are so many missing services and products, I guess, if you will, in Negril. Like, you can come and set up shop and you can do okay. You can, I think you can do well. And also, like, you have to be good. You don't have to be amazing. You know, you don't have to be a 3 Michelin star restaurant to come down here to succeed. You know, this is not New York City. This is Negril, Jamaica. And if you come down here, like, there's even, like, we were talking about a taco, I forget the name of it. I wish I would shout it out, but there's a taco restaurant by a lady from I want to say she's from Minnesota. I could have that totally wrong. If somebody knows where I'm talking about, you can correct me. But she's not from here. She's from the States. She came here. She set up a taco shop, and I think she's doing okay, because it was one of my aunt's patients who had mentioned that they went to the taco shop, and he's from New York, and he went there, and it's kind of near Travelers, as a matter of fact. I've eaten lunch there before, and you know, I don't know her motivation behind starting that taco shop, but she came down here and she did it. It's still around. It's still here. And so that's just like, if you just come here, and in speaking with German, the financial advisor, one of the things that she recommended is just like, come here, get a feel, see what it's like, see what there are probably things that you will see that I'm not seeing, but there are many business opportunities that I think are down here that you will get the support of the locals here. You will get support of the community here. But thank you for that question. Where are we here? Thank you for that question. Let's see. All right. Haran says, another reason for the lack of economic growth is the commoditization of our politics. Most of our politicians, if not all, are multimillionaires. Yeah, not gonna get on that one. But I mean, and like, in general, I do think that our leaders are making good decisions, and we're making progress. You know, we moved from, like I said, from 150 GDP to debt to GDP ratio down to 96, and we're making progress and moving in the right direction. Obviously, COVID has thrown us off, but you know, like I said, I would never get in politics. I said that before. It's a tough business to be in, but this is the system, and hopefully we continue to elect strong leadership and leaders that will continue to move the country forward and push us in the right direction. Shadai says, why don't you do more videos on digital nomads to attract more of them to Jamaica? Great idea. Great idea. I will. And if you have any suggestions as to, if you know somebody or know of somebody who is either down here or coming down here, I would be all ears. I'm definitely always open to any suggestions that anyone may have. So thank you for that. Mrs. B says the cost of housing in Jamaica is an issue. Locals can't afford to purchase homes, and foreign investors are buying up land and not building affordable homes for locals. The diaspora can't afford it as well. I guess that's Ms. B. That's like it's a relative situation. I would say, yes, obviously, cost of living, as the article rightfully says, like cost of living has gone up, but wages haven't been meeting that. Jamaica is an expensive place. Like, there's no doubt about it. It's not like it's not like like a Bali or a Colombia, Cartagena, Colombia, or anything like that. It is expensive, and there's numerous reasons as to why that is, and it's not really a cheap place to live. Housing is an issue. I know housing is an issue in the cities. Kingston is overcrowded. There's a lot of development happening there. Portmore is looking. There's a lot of development happening. Portmore residential development, because Kingston is so crowded at this point, and there isn't enough housing. But I also think that's another opportunity as well, especially with developers. Like here in Negril, we don't have enough housing. There's no. I mentioned this before. We don't have a middle. What would I would say, middle income housing, and there, or at least there's not a lot of it. And my friend who's a manager at a large hotel, he actually, there's a development in Lucy, which is probably, I would say, a good 40 minutes from Negril, and he moved from where he was staying here in Negril at a gated community to 40 minutes away because he wanted to have a 2-bedroom apartment for, I think he has 2 kids, I believe, and he just couldn't afford that in Negril. And then also, to get like a 2-bedroom house in Negril and a gated community, there's like 2 places you can do that, and to have like a front yard or a backyard, that sort of thing. I mean, essentially that doesn't exist here. That doesn't exist in Negril, and I think that's like an incredible opportunity for a developer to come to Negril. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like this 500-acre facility or anything of that nature. I mean, it could be something a lot smaller. And there are places to do that. You won't necessarily be on the beach. I think that will be incredibly expensive to do. And also, there's not a lot of opportunity in terms of spaces to do that on the beach. But outside of that, there's a lot of places on the west end in the hills that there can be development of that nature. But Negril definitely needs this middle income type housing, because, for somebody, a manager at one of these large hotels, to not really be able to afford that, and to move and be willing to have a 40-minute commute, 30 to 40-minute commute every day, as opposed to a 10-minute commute. I mean, that says a lot. That just goes to show you where we are in terms of the housing situation that we have here in Negril. And this is just Negril. I'm sure that can be applied to many places and many different places around the island. So thanks for your comment. Shauna says, agreed. I think the inner islands can form some pathway programs to promote trades / entrepreneurship. I know UE have different campuses throughout the Caribbean can utilize the concept. Yep, good idea. Greece says, explain what you mean by tech business. Give us an example of what you're talking about. Sure. So tech can come in like an assortment of different ways, right? So even me, like, I have this YouTube channel, I have a media company. I can get clients in the United States if I wanted to. That's not my ambition, but if I wanted to, say, start editing and doing video editing for clients that are in the United States here, I can do that. I have the skill set to do that. I also have the skill set to train a small team to do that as well. So they would be essentially paying us US wages, the company that I would have down here, to do. If they needed us to film, we could do that as well. But my main point is like to keep everything digital and we don't have to go anywhere physically. They could send us the footage. We will download it from their servers, edit it the way that they want to, and we shoot it back, and we get paid in US dollars. That's a business. We could be a support service business. In terms of web development as well, and my friend has a web development business here as well, and he has many clients in the United States that he has, and he gets his businesses from there, and he's able to make, like, obviously living here, he has his family here, and he gets his money from those companies and those people up there, and he's living down here. So that's another tech business. So, and even if you wanted to do, say, what you call it, drop shipping through Amazon, and you can run that business from here. There's no reason why you can't do drop shipping in Jamaica as opposed to in the United States or where you're from. So I would say having an online store, you can do that as well. You don't need to be in the United States to have your online store. You can sell anywhere in the world. So things of that nature, I would say, as far as starting a tech business, even, this is kind of getting a little bit deeper, but if you were having some sort of, app development or program, if you had that skill set, that takes a little bit longer to train here in Jamaica and to bring, and this is where the idea of starting a tech hub, I think you would need to bring that talent to Jamaica. And, if you had a bunch of programmers coming down and, and you can even be working for Google, or you can be working for Amazon, or whatever tech companies up there, or you can start your own shop down here and bring those people down here. The cost of living is a lot cheaper. The one thing I would say, as I mentioned before, we're missing the housing aspect of it. And I think if there is a developer who comes in and can solve that issue, then I think that leads to other opportunities. But, to come and start, like, say, hey, yeah, Negril, we're going to be a tech hub, and then we don't have anywhere for these techies, so to speak, to live, and then also we don't have places for them to work as well. I mean, that also becomes a barrier. But to me, with the right people in place and people with the right mindset, to me, these are small barriers to overcome as far as that's concerned. I hope that answers your question, Gizzy. If you want me to make any clarifying statements on that, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to. Shada says, Thop, I recruit tech people every day, and I work with the support people in India. Jamaica is closer. We should get more tech businesses. Yeah, I agree. Natalie, thank you. Savior. Nikki's Taco. That's what it is. Yeah, sorry, I got excited. Yeah, I definitely think that, we can get more tech businesses here, and they're, I'm not saying we need to become the India. I know a lot of people who outsource their everything from graphic design to web development to programming, to even video editing goes to India as well, because they have they're just cheaper wages at the end of the day. But they don't necessarily have the, I shouldn't say that. I've had one or two bad experiences over there, but it's doable is my point. And they're a case study to that. Again, Nikki's Taco. That's the taco place that I was referring to earlier. King Spotlight, Throp Jamaican debt now stands at $14.4 billion with a total GDP of 15.8 billion, of which 10 billion is in foreign debt. Okay, so that I forgot who asked that question. So there you go. Thank you so much for that, King Spotlight. I appreciate that. So that is where the debt currently stands. 10 billion is foreign. That's interesting. But it seems like we're slowly chopping that down. Okay, I just saw a comment from Ingrid. Okay, a lot of diaspora are buying homes in Jamaica. It's not just for the foreigners. I do agree that the cost of housing is too high. Yes, it is. Hey, farmer girl Jess, welcome. Thanks for joining. Leasing land is a great way to find somewhere to live. Farming. Yep, yep, yep. Good idea. I know a lot of people do that. Like they do these 99-year leases and then they work the land. I don't know a lot of people, but I know one and two, I should say. Phoenix says, wouldn't Tech Hub possibly affect the natural resource and tranquility of Negril? Mm, I don't think so. If you, I mean, could you explain like how or what you mean by that? How that would be possible? I don't think that would be a situation as far as the as far as hurting in the environment is concerned. But yeah, interesting to hear what you mean by that, Phoenix. Shana, you may consider promoting work locations, travelers to attract digital nomads, which can help during the slow off-peak seasons. Yes, we are actually doing some travelers. That is, we're actually having some. Um, we're thinking about that with the future in terms of we think that this whole work from home situation is here to stay, and we are designing, if you will, our adjusting our hotel to satisfy that market. Thank you for that suggestion. Blind guy, his wife, and their life. Perhaps your hotel could partner with the other hotels and boat companies to spearhead international Caribbean travel charters. Yeah, I mean, they're super. I mean, I know boats that do it individually. They're super expensive. Like, I mean, obviously thousands of dollars for sure. But this is something to look into. I feel like if a dedicated company did that, man, they would do so well. Good idea though. Good idea. Should I say tech says tech hubs can also include app developers, software development, and tech support. Yes, 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 absolutely. Abbasim says train that team Throp. Target students from Little London and Rhodes Hall High School. Yeah, definitely. I'm just trying to build out my small little team here and then turn that team into trainers and start really getting after these young people. Shala says many of the tech companies in the US use developers in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and all of Asia. Yeah, I wish I know. I know we have very skilled people in Jamaica along those lines, but I just don't think we have the volume that those countries and regions have. Unfortunately, and hopefully we're that starts as far as curriculum goes. That starts being pushed more and more, and the the resources that it takes to do that is not easy or readily available. Okay, I think we got through all the comments and questions. All right, that's oh, one more one more comment. Blind guy. Speaking of tech places like Patsy's coffee shop could offer space and internet packages for workspaces, great for the virtual working. Yeah, they do. I mean, this is great. This, as I put in the video that I did, like they have USB plugs here. The Wi-Fi is great. We're streaming, no problem, no issues so far. And if I can do this, you can come here and do work. They have great food here, even though I didn't eat my lunch yet, but I've had it here before. They have great coffee, great ice cream. There's a bunch of kids here having ice cream, enjoying their Sunday. I agree. If we can have more places like this, and that's a good idea. We can kind of work cohesively as a community to promote places and these workspaces for people to come and do concentrated long hours of working, so to speak. I think it's a good thing. Tony Mack says, happy Sunday. Sundays are happier with your program. I'm happy to see you're doing better. Could you give a list of the hotels that are owned by Jamaicans? Oh boy. Yeah, I would have to work on that. I won't even try to rattle them off of my head because I know I'm going to miss a few. Good idea. Good idea. I will put that together. Great idea, Tony. Great idea. Greasy says, I think places in Jamaica, especially Negril, should have places that attracts digital nomad, for example, like cafes. Yes, I think everybody's on the same page. Awesome. Great idea. Shadai says, what do you think about a ferry for traveling to places like Portland and Negril from places like Kingston and Montego Bay? I think that's an amazing idea. So there was a company that was doing these ferries, almost like the ferries in Greece. And obviously Greece has a bunch of islands, and they have an amazing ferry system. And these things are like speedboats. And they were trying to do that here. And I don't know, they disappeared. I think that's an excellent idea if they could come up with a low cost system. Like it's like a bus, right? That you can kind of, you kind of have this, should I take the ferry or should I take the road? And like people lean to the ferry because I would think it's more environmentally friendly because you can get so many more people on them, and then two, it frees up the road as well. I think it's another great opportunity, business opportunity. So thank you for bringing that up, Sade. And if you know anybody who understands that type of business, man, I think Jamaica could do really well with that. I think that could. I don't know if that, like, logistically, if that makes sense for the Caribbean. Um, my geography isn't that good. I'm not sure, how far all these islands are from each other, but maybe there could be some sort of daisy chain situation where you can go from one island to the other, sort of thing. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Mrs. B says, "Throp, train the diaspora as well, please." Okay, I will. They're officially on my list. Let's switch back the camera there. All right. Sade says ferries from Brooklyn to Manhattan and New Jersey really improves transportation, and NYC ferries would be great for Jay. Yep, I know. I have friends that take ferries from Brooklyn to Manhattan for work, and yeah, I think they're great. They really free up a lot of traffic, and they're super super convenient as well. All right, that's it. Anybody have any other questions? I don't have any guests today. Just got this view. Happy that I was able to come out and be here at Patsy's and be able to do this on another Sunday. And we're gonna keep it going. I think we're gonna be back at Travelers next week, unless I have another idea of doing it somewhere else. But for right now, it seems like we're gonna be back at Travelers next week. And yeah, feeling a lot better today than I did earlier this week, and I'm sure I'll be at full strength, fingers crossed, by next week for next week's live. One more comment by Sade. You can definitely do J8 to Cuba and Cayman by ferry. Yes, I've heard of people taking boats there. I think it's 90 miles, if I'm not mistaken. Not too far at all. Crazy says, we have Uber boats here in London, which is amazing. So I think Jamaica will do very well with that type of business. We just got Uber here, Uber roads, Uber regular. Not in Negril, but I believe in Kingston only so far. I don't know if anybody else has tried it in other parts of the island. All right. Yeah, I think we're going to bring it to a close. I only plan on going an hour, but this was good. It seemed like everybody liked that article. Love today's stream. This was great, super super interactive. Well, they always been super interactive, but it seemed like everybody enjoyed that article, and I will get that article out on the community page as soon as I possibly can. And I will have the video out with German Vanzi. She's the investor. It's super super informative. One of my favorite interviews so far, because it was just so rich with information and so rich with tangible information, and also her personal financial journey as well. And she goes through the different phases in her life, and so I am really excited to be sharing that with everyone this week. No promises. If it's not tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday for sure. Because like I said, it's pretty much editing, just fine tuning at this point in time. Sorry, a little out of focus here. There we go. So just fine tuning. So definitely like sometime this week, it's going to be out, and I really hope you all enjoy that one. Just want to check and make sure that I got all these comments. All right. Okay. Last question. Terry Edwards. Yes. I don't know if she or he, but Terry Edwards, what could we do to get cruise ships to come to Negril? We don't have the harbor for cruise ships, unfortunately. I think the closest would be Lucy or Sav, but you need to develop both of them. But unfortunately, like we don't have, like our water isn't deep enough to have a cruise ship here. But hopefully the road that is being built, the bypass roads that are being built from from Montego Bay to Negril would cut down the time, so we can be able to have cruise ship business coming from Montego Bay to Negril, and 25-30 minutes from Montego Bay to Negril. If we have the right roads, that would be amazing. That would be awesome. So good idea, though. Good idea. We would love cruise ship business here in Negril. Don says I will be coming to Travelers in a couple of weeks as long as I pass my COVID test. Awesome. I'll see you then, Don. I'll see you then. All right, everybody. I'm going to leave it there. This has been a great one. As promised, I will get those 2 articles out to you guys. And thank you all so much for joining this live. I hope you enjoyed the view here at Patsy's. I know I did. I love the vibe here, and I love doing the podcast here. I love doing this live stream here as well. And I will see you later this week in the video podcast that I released within a couple of days. And I will see you next Sunday. We'll be back at our usual time, 12 p.m. Might be a Travelers, might not, but more than likely that we will be. And thank you all so much for coming out and being here. And I will see you in the next one. And of course, I'm going to leave you with the view of the Negril Beach right there.